Prince Harry made a surprise appearance at the 2024 NFL Honours in Las Vegas last night, following his whirlwind visit to King Charles. The Duke of Sussex cracked jokes as he presented an award at the ceremony, but didn't mention the health of his father or sister-in-law, the Princess of Wales.
I really love how you stole rugby from us, and you made it your own. Instead of passing it backwards, just pass it forwards. Why not wear pads and a helmet? Of course, have an offense and defense. That makes sense. And why not take a breather every 15 seconds?
Well, joining me now from Los Angeles is royal commentator Kinsey Schofield, and here in the UK, delighted to be joined by royal commentator Emily Andrews. Very good afternoon to both of you. Kinsey, let me come to you first. I'm fascinated to know what the reaction has been like on the other side of the pond. Has this been noticed? Is it a big deal? What did people think about Harry doing this?
I mean, it was mentioned on some of the morning shows, you know, just, hey, look, Prince Harry popped up here. But and of course, all of the blogs like Page 6 and TMZ.com. But I don't think it's water cooler conversation. I think it's mostly kind of just in that entertainment sphere.
And Kinsey, just explain to us how big a deal the event itself is, because obviously we don't even have NFL over here. And it looks, from the pictures we're looking at, it looks very, very glitzy. I know he was giving out one of, I think, the top award of the night. You can see there that the staging is enormous. Is it as big as it looks, the event itself?
I think that if you are obsessed with football, you might tune in, but it's not like the Oscars. It's not like the Golden Globes or the Emmys. I think that it's just, I think what's so exciting about it is it's Super Bowl week. And so, of course, everyone's headed to Vegas. You know, you're going to see a lot of celebrities in Vegas this weekend. That's really where all of the energy is as we ramp up to watch the Kansas City Chiefs take on the San Francisco 49ers, and hopefully Taylor Swift, a lot of Taylor Swift on the screen. Yeah. But I think that Prince Harry, it was a strategic move to be in the mix of such a hot event in such a hot space. And I think that, you know, he really had to go visit his dad because to show up in the middle of the Super Bowl or the Super Bowl chaos and not acknowledge his father would have been very poor optics. But you know, I think that it's not a great look either way.
OK, so that's really interesting. So you've given us a bit of context. Now, my next question, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this one, Kinsey, did he do this for the publicity of being involved, as you said, in the chaos of Super Bowl and NFL, or could he have been paid for this?
I think that this is a much bigger, Daisy, I think this is much bigger because Paramount Plus is who streams this award show. And we recently saw Prince Harry take the red carpet with the Paramount CEO at the Bob Marley movie premiere in Jamaica, rode on his private jet to Jamaica. I think we're seeing a relationship being established between Paramount, a powerhouse media company, and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
OK, that's really interesting. Kinsey, thank you very much. Emily, just I wanted to get the view from the States on this. Now, here, obviously, this has had a considerable amount of coverage. Prince Harry popping up in Vegas just a day or so after he'd been here for that very short visit with Charles. How does it look from where you're sitting, Emily?
Well, obviously, American football is not quite as big in the UK as it is over in the States. And, you know, there were some kind of wags on social media saying, gee, you know, you can hire Harry for anything. You can hire him for weddings, funerals, bar mitzvahs, opening of a Burger King. And now he is handing out awards at American football. I'm sure some people over here in the UK may think that. I actually think this is a really big deal. I mean, I personally, I'm not particularly au fait with American football. I'm not a fan, but it's massive, not just in America, but around the world. And I think this is absolutely, Kinsey's absolutely right. This is part of Harry building and perhaps rebuilding his brand. You know, for the last couple of years, the narrative on both sides of the pond has been kind of, you know, Harry whinging, telling us all about Spare, telling us about fights over dog bowls and how he was, you know, felt completely put upon as the junior partner, the Spare to his elder brother's heir. And I think this is part of his building, as Kinsey said, building that relationship with Paramount, but also trying to step away from that narrative where he's been kind of, you know, making his money effectively as a whining royal. Here is Harry doing what he does best, or he did when he was a royal, being congratulatory, handing out awards to sports people. You know, Harry was patron of English rugby, so it was really nice to hear him make those jokes, which I suspect he probably did write himself about rugby. But you know what, Daisy, I did think he looked quite nervous. All that kind of hand kind of touching and wringing, that's not the Harry that I did so many engagements with Harry and hung out with him quite a bit, and that's not the Harry I remember when he was relaxed and jovial. He wasn't behaving like that.
I suppose it is natural that he might be nervous, given the amount of negative coverage he's had over the past few years. I just wonder when he's going to get a proper job. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you know, this is a big deal, but it is just flying to Vegas. He has had criticism. Kinsey, just coming back to you, you said that it would have been unthinkable for him to have done this if he hadn't been to see Charles last week. But then he came over, hugely long journey, not bad, you know, not great for his environmental credentials, 45-minute meeting with Charles, then doesn't mention Charles. Do you think he should have mentioned Charles in that speech, or do you think that would have been inappropriate?
I don't think it was the time or the place. However, watching the way Prince William transitioned from acknowledging the crisis to a quick joke, I thought that the way that Prince William did it, it just kind of broke the ice and it made things more comfortable. With Harry, it just is kind of the elephant in the room and it feels a little weird. But you're right, and I also think he had to do the journey, because otherwise it was just somebody saying a source said Prince Harry wished King Charles well, and I don't think that was going to cut it after such shocking news.
Yeah. And Kinsey, people are saying here that Prince William is much more popular in the States than Prince Harry. Is that the case, as far as you can see from looking at American polls?
Oh, American polling, absolutely, there's no doubt. But there is extreme interest in Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. That's why they're on the cover of magazines. They sell a lot of papers and people do tune in. They watch the videos on YouTube. So that there is, I think, popularity-wise, Prince William does dominate. He's more popular than our own. You're going to talk about my president later. He's more popular than my own president. But I do think that there still is interest in Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Kinsey, thank you so much for giving us the perspective from the United States, and have a lovely weekend. Emily, I'm going to hold on to you for a couple more minutes, because I just want to bring some more royal news a bit closer to home, still concerning Prince Harry, because he has won his latest phone hacking court case against the Mirror Group. The organisation will now have to pay him substantial damages after the court case. Duke of Sussex's lawyer read a statement for him in which he claimed Piers Morgan, who was editor of the Daily Mirror at this time, knew perfectly well what was going on. Now, Piers, of course, in his inimitable style, has hit back at the Prince in a tweet in which he said, "I totally agree with Prince Harry that ruthless intrusion into the private lives of the royal family for financial gain is utterly reprehensible, and I hope he stops doing it." Emily, quick reaction to you from this. Of course, Harry will be very pleased to have won this. Piers Morgan coming out fighting.
Well, I mean, I don't think you'd expect anything less from either side, really. You got Harry, who, when he won the initial judgment against Mirror Group in December, had David Sherburn, his barrister, issue a statement for him saying that he was slaying dragons, the dragons presumably being the media, us, and he had his, trusty sort of sword of truth and shield of justice, or perhaps sword of justice and shield of truth. And you wouldn't expect Piers to do anything else except to have a witty rebuttal just like that. I note, though, that Piers didn't deny Harry's allegations. Always interesting to see what people don't say as well as they do. But look, this judgment in December was pretty damning, really, for the Daily Mirror. It found that phone hacking had happened between 1996 and 2011, where it had been widespread and habitual. Mr. Justice Fancourt found from 98. Today's announcement was about the outstanding 115 articles that Harry had complained about in the judgment that was found in his favour in December. I think it was a sample of like 48, that some of which Mr. Justice Van Court found were due to hacking. Today, Prince Harry had made an offer to the Mirror to settle the outstanding allegations, and today this was an announcement that they had settled.
And
I think
Emily,
in
do we have any idea how much the settlement was? How much money
Yes,
Harry will get?
I was about to say it's in the region. He's expected to receive around 300,000 in total in damages from Reach, which incorporates some costs and payment.
Yes, I was going to say, does that include the lawyers' fees? Because you can bet your bottom dollar or pound that the lawyers' fees will be as much, if not considerably more.
Doesn't include all of his costs. I think they've worded it as a payment towards costs. But look, Harry didn't come for the money. I mean, part of the reason people have surmised as to why he did the Netflix, why he did Spare, why he's taken these big butts deals in America was that he could go after the British press. He has 5 court cases still outstanding in the UK, one of which is to do with security, but 4 against UK media. And the remaining media companies in his sites are News UK, publishers of The Sun, and also the Daily Mail Group, publishers of the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday. He has accused all 3 newspapers of phone hacking. Judge has restricted him to say he's out of time on the phone hacking claim, but he can in terms of illegal use of information.
Don't know why we just had a little thumbs up emoji came up on your screen there, Emily. I'm not sure if that was a message from somebody. I was just thinking this has obviously been a very big royal week, not just for Harry in Vegas, coming over for his whistle-stop visit to his father and obviously winning that court case. But of course, we've still got the ongoing story and slight mystery surrounding Princess of Wales, Kate's recuperation. And I was just wondering whether you thought, just in the last few minutes, whether we would hear any more out of Kensington Palace about how she is doing, and whether we would hear any more about potentially what it is she's been recuperating from.
Well, I think the short answer to that is no. I mean, I think it's been pretty amazing, actually, that William and Kate have been able to control their press so much that no one it hasn't got out what that operation was. I think even if it had, newspapers and broadcasters would be very careful about what they said, because it is her private medical information, and Kensington Palace made it very clear that she doesn't want to tell us. I suspect that we won't find anything out more until even after she appears in public, hopefully after Easter in April. But given the very favourable reaction to the King publicising his prostate operation and his revelation that he's suffering from an unspecified cancer, I do wonder whether she may talk about it in the future, or perhaps become a patron of a charity associated with it.
That's relevant. I completely agree with you, Emily. And I think one thing that hasn't really been discussed very much, but I'm pretty certain is relevant to their decision to be much more private than the King, is because they have 3 young children. William and Kate have always said that trying to maintain some sort of normalcy, some sort of normal upbringing for those 3 young children has been their #1 priority. And you can imagine, if your mum is pretty much one of the most famous women in the world, and she has some serious medical condition with a big operation and a lot of recuperation, and it is something abdominal. So we can probably assume it's something either gynecological or perhaps bowel, intestine, whatever it might be, that these are the kind of things that you don't want your children being teased and taunted about in the playground. And I just think that I'm pretty certain that that will have been one of the factors. And also, if it is something quite serious, you don't want the children being unduly concerned, and you can keep the children protected from that if you don't tell the world what's going on. And I think that is one of the reasons why we've seen Charles, who's in his mid-70s, doesn't have to worry about young children worrying, but still talk to his own children and his siblings direct before the news broke. Charles's attitude, to me, is understandable compared to Kate. They're at very different stages of their lives.
Absolutely. I mean, I've got 2 children the same age as Charlotte and Louis. And so I wouldn't want, if I had some big operation, I wouldn't want, every kind of parent or child at my children's school sort of talking to my kids about it and wanting to know. And I mean, it must be so, so difficult because, of course, Charlotte and George are, you know, of an age where they completely understand. I mean, Kate didn't see her children for almost 2 weeks when she was in hospital. And that must have been really, really difficult for them and for her. Very sensible, I think, not to bring the kids into hospital so as not to upset them. But no, she is at a very different stage. And I think also, you know, the monarch, King Charles, is also, you know, he obviously is a senior royal in the same way as the Princess of Wales, but he is our head of state. And so, for instance, the Prime Minister was told before any of us, the Prime Minister was told about his cancer diagnosis. The Prime Minister knows exactly what's up. He knows what treatment he's getting. We are not being told that, because we don't need to know, because but the Prime Minister needs to know because he is head of state, and so therefore is in charge of all the constitutional affairs, going through the red boxes, you know, doing all the things that the head of state needs to do, that we perhaps general public don't really appreciate, because we kind of see him glad-handing in the crowds and don't appreciate all the work that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been quite a week for the royal family, and it's been quite a week for royal watchers and commentators like yourself. So I hope you get a chance, Emily, to put your feet up and have a glass